Yes, so we can start with our first introductory session on sustainable environment management. Uh, yes, I think this is just an first slide which shows that the planet Earth is burning, and reason for this is I think you can all very understand that okay, we are doing so many such activities which is causing a lot of say degradation on the planet Earth, and what we find is that we are having the problem of say your global warming and other issues related to this particular environment system. So if we see that okay, this Earth is a very unique planet. I think this is the only planet where you find that the life system is there, and there you find the water is there. We have been searching the life and the other say indications of the life on the Earth, on other planets also, but we are not able to find it. This thing, we will find that Earth is the third largest planet of our solar system, and, and the, where is the only life. And you see that if you see that okay, once when our first astronaut that Rakesh Sharma went to sky and he saw how you find the Earth there, it looked like a blue planet from this thing. So because of the it is surrounded by water, so it is called it is just looks very blue in color, and it is called the blue planet also. So about 70% of the surface is covered with water, or maybe the oceans, and then remaining 30% or maybe near about 29% is consisting of continents and islands. And liquid water, basically it is not known to exist on any other planet. So so we were discussing that okay, water you can see there is about 71% of the water which is surrounding our planet Earth, and you see that this of the total availability of the water out of 97.5%, only of this total 97.5% is the saline water, and remaining 2.5% is the fresh water, and out of this fresh water also about 68.7% is basically in the form of ice. So you can see that how much water availability is there. If you go into the different say structure of our components of the Earth, you will find that from up to depth of 60 meters is called the lithosphere, and then from beyond to 6 up to further beyond up to 35, you will see that this is a central core is the called mantle, which is about having a density of 3.4 to 5.5. Then you have 100 to 70, it is again astronosphere, which is again then you have outer core, and here you have the inner core. So this is what it is shown, that this is the upper layer which is about 2.5 up to 35. Then you have the crust, you have the upper mantle, you have the then the basic core, outer core, and the inner core. And yes, the coming to the threats, what we are facing is that the major threat to our planet Earth is because of the explosion of the population. You see that particularly in India and in Asia continent, you will find that population growth rate is very high, and we were about 36.1 crore in 1951, but now we have gone beyond 100 crores, and at this rate we will be overtaking the China by 2050. So basically that okay, we are the 16th of our population is about the 16% of the total world population. So we have a basically high this thing, and one of the issues basically what we say is because of that issues related to population, you will find that our now the lifestyle is the very we are dependent on the energy intensive lifestyle we are having. So for each and every our need, we are dependent on energy requirement, whether it is we want to move, we want to sit on our house, we want to say have a comfortable life. So energy is one of the major issues, and because of this and energy, mostly we are using the fossil fuels, and those fossil fuels are contributing to the to your greenhouse gases by emitting this carbon dioxide and other carbon related gases. And you see that one of the other issues is that okay, like in our country, we are not able to provide the electricity to the majority of the population, and then I think their lifestyle is not as compared to our lifestyle of the developed countries. So we want that okay, they should be at par with those developed countries, but at the same time we have to see that how we have to make the balance so that no, the carbon dioxide gases are not generated and they are not causing leading to your this global warming, etc. So and because of this population explosion and because of energy and intensive lifestyle, we are getting the issue of global warming. So global warming, as you understand, is the increase in average temperature of the earth's near surface, which is near to earth and oceans, which has been basically we are facing it since last century, only last few years, and which is causing the rise in temperature. You can see that then we find that the average temperature is going up, and if we are not taking the preventive steps right now, you will find that the temperature at the end of say maybe another 20 to 2050, it will be 2-degree average rise, and this rise may be to an extent that where life may become very difficult. So basically, yes, we have to see that, and it is again causing impact on our climate. Climate is changing. You can see that the climate, wherever we see that we are having extreme weather, extreme temperature, extreme winter, extreme rainfall, and all those things we have started experiencing. And basically, it is again because of our global warming which is happening. Recently, I think there was a news that yes, the this ozone hole, it is now decreasing because of the maybe because of the action taken by us, remedial action taken by us. Though there is some basically percentage decrease in the hole which is there in the which is again causing this environment gases. And so this you can see that if this temperature rise keeps on going, the basically that our planet may become uninhabitable. So major greenhouse gases are water vapor, which causes about 36 to 70% of the greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide, which causes about 9 to 26%. Methane, which again causes 4 to 9%, and ozone, which causes about 3 to 7% of the greenhouse gases which are being emitted by the from our activities. So basically, we have to see that how we can strengthen our greenhouse gas effect changes by making our development as a sustainable development. So that is the issue, and I think we understand that we have to live in harmony with the earth, but environmental problems and as global warming and acid rains are growing, so we have to see that how we can prevent the major disasters which are occurring every year. So as I said that people need energy, and for their everyday task, whether it is heating, whether it is lighting, whether it is cooling, and whether we are moving of it's transportation. So even for industry also. So whatever the gases we are using, whatever the energy we are using, it is energy is basically emitting all these these gases which are contributing to the global warming and greenhouse gases. So whatever basically we are say producing in our industries, whatever, so all those our systems are unsustainable. That means that there is a pressing need to implement the available environmental sound technologies, in particular in energy sector and in every sphere of our activity. If we are not able to do that, that means we will not be able to survive any further. So basically, that we see that all these activities which we are being which we are generated and which are going which we are doing on our this thing, they have some sort of a waste generated. If we see as a total say process, in the process we are having some input, some processing is taking place, and as a output we are getting some useful product, and as a byproduct we are getting that something as a you can say waste also. So this is the this particular waste. If A, you can say A is your input, B is your processing, and C plus D. C is some output activity and D is your output. So how to manage this D? That is basically the major issue of concern to us. So basically that we have to see that, okay, that means what is this D? D we are basically defining it as a pollution. So what is pollution is? Pollution is any undesirable element which can cause a change due to some physical, chemical or biological activity, and it may be in the form of your liquid, it may be your solid, it may be in the form of your gas. So that means that we are getting our some sort of a changes in those characteristics which like in the air, in the water, in the land. So means that when we say pollution, that means we are putting something into the environment which is causing contamination, which leads to due to the instability, which is harmful, which causes some discomfort to the ecosystem, and may cause some physical damage to the living organisms as well as to the non-living organisms. We are talking about both the things. So and this pollution may be in the form of your chemical substances, energy such as noise, heat or light, and the main issue I said is the our energy intensive lifestyle. Once we say that the major cause of the global warming and greenhouse gases is due to the threat of because we are using energy in every activity of our life. And I think we all understand that it is not possible that okay we have to maintain a balance between our development and the sustainability. We have to provide electricity to everyone. We have to provide energy to everybody. So we can't basically stop it. But at the same time, we have to see that okay how to utilize the energy in a sustainable way, and then how to harness the and basically energy from the natural sources which causes little or less pollution. So and once we say that okay that this pollution effect is basically you can say it is a at the local level, it is at the region level, and it is at the global level. So local level is basically you get the air pollution. Regional level you get some sort of a acid rain, because what happens that you are locally you are polluting the air, and that polluted air is carried away to some other region, and where you may get some acid or some other sort of a pollution, and then at the global level we are experiencing the effect of greenhouse gases. So there is a need urgent need to introduce more pollution control measures, and at the same time along with the pollution control measures, some preventive measures, so as whatever we are doing, we are generating lesser amount of pollution. So that is more important, that okay we need to control the say generation of your that activity. I said that the what we call the D in our as a waste. So how to reduce the generation of D during our processing. Whatever we are activity doing, I am calling it a processing. So that means during processing, whatever activity we are doing, so our focus should be on having D as a zero discharges, zero emissions. That is what we need to talk about these things. So so these are the you can say major environmental threats which we have basically recently we have suffered is basically because of man's meddling. Is we see that in 1984 we have the Bhopal gas tragedy, 1980 we have the Chernobyl this disaster which occurred in Russia, and then 1991 we have the Gulf War, and recently we had this 2001 Gujarat earthquake, then we have tsunami in 2004, We have so these are the things, and you find that the impacts of these activities or these things we are suffering is, we are finding that there is a agriculture and food security aspect is there. We are experiencing the rise in sea level. Oceans and the coastal areas are basically getting they are getting submerged, and there is a always we are finding that there may be a few islands which will just disappear from the earth itself. And then we are finding that there is some effect on biological diversity and ecosystem, water resources, human health, human settlements, energy and industry. Then climate disaster and extreme events we are suffering. We have recently seen that in our India also we have seen that Uttarakhand flood, we have seen floods in the Srinagar, and those sort of things we are also experiencing. And recently we had in Chennai the very say, damaging floods occurred. So those things are because of our say development activities, which is again harmful to the environment. Again, I think there was a one study which said that okay, India will suffer lower rice and wheat yields, coastal flooding, and more cases of malaria and longer periods of droughts as a result of climate change. So, the first major concern is about the water pollution. Rightly somebody said that okay, if there is a world war, it will be on the water only. After this thing, next world war will be on the and we are experiencing this in different states in our country also. You have many states which are fighting over water because water resources are depleted, and one side what we see is that lesser amount of more of a rainfall is there, but then storage our storage capacity is little low. So that is what I said. It is generally when it was seen from the moon, it looked like a blue planet. So water is a vital for the life and livelihood. It is very precious, but as I said, about 1% is available, and out of that 1%, fresh water is about again 0.1% only. Very little amount of fresh water which can be used by human being is available to us. So another problem is that water cannot be manufactured. Okay. So it is a natural resource. We have to understand this thing. Then, but what is happening that available of the water sources, it is we have to ensure that whatever the resources are available. So we have to ensure that they are developed in a sustainable way. They are managed at a very optimal benefit, and they are conserved and preserved as a valuable but as a scarce resource as existing. So as I said that okay, water is 70% is covered, but only 0.5% of total water is present as surface water, and of that 0.5%, only 1% of total water that is available can be used by the human beings. And we are finding this sort of a you can see that this is a picture in most of the Indian states during summer period. People using the same wastewater. The one you see the situation of our this water body is again water industry water or sewage water is directly being thrown into our water body. You can see that these are the just pictures basically, which shows that okay, if we are lucky that we are getting the water in this thing, but in most of the parts of the country you will find that this is a very common situation. So then our water use pattern, you see that with the development our water use pattern is changing. If we compare in a domestic sector in USA, the per capita demand is about 400 liters per day per person, whereas in our rural Indias this quantity is about, I say code says about 45 only, but I says okay 90 liters per day per capita, and for Indian cities we require about 140 liters, whereas a US family of 4 uses about 1 million liters of water in a year, and an Indian family uses, which consists of 4 members, it uses about 0.15 million liters of water in a year. So you can see that our lifestyle and their lifestyle. Whereas if you come see the various uses of water in the different sectors. You will find that agriculture, we are using about 70% of the available water. Industry, we are using about 25. For domestic, about 5% of total availability of the water is being used. Total demand of the water is being used for this purpose. If you want to calculate, okay, how much drinking water is needed in a different, I just say this is a rough estimate you can get is TQ is A into BC. TQ is the total quantity of the water consumption, drinking for drinking purpose in liters. A is the daily water requirement. B is the number of days in a year, and C is the average life of a person in a year. Now, you can see that okay, there are natural sources of water pollution, like we are getting they are getting polluted when we travel through the rocks. So during precipitation, you have the from the atmosphere, if there are gases are there, so gases are getting mixed, like sulfur dioxide or some gases, they get mixed and they cause the acid rain. Then leaching from the wastewater, from the solid, where we are dumping our solid waste, or maybe from polluted water, that leaching taking place, and it is causing the pollution of the our groundwater resources and our natural sources. Then you have the anthropogenic sources. Basically, we are getting the seepage from the septic tank, agricultural feeds where we are using the excesses of our these fertilizers, sewage irrigation. Sewage is, I think, one of the major problem is of how to basically treat our sewage from the different cities, and then land disposal of the industrial effluents. Then you are mining waste and leaching and disposal of the wells. Generally, you will see that groundwater contains inorganic pollutants and surface waters mainly contains organic and biological pollutants. Natural pollutants present in the groundwater will consist of these carbonates, bicarbonates, chlorides, sulfates, phosphates, nitrates, fluorides, and some heavy metals. We have got a separate session on this also. Pollutants present in the surface water, you will find that industrial effluents are there, pesticides are there, fertilizers are there, then sewage contaminated water is there, detergents are there, then different types of bacteria like E. coli and other pathogenic organisms will be there, some sediments, and you can see the at high temperature of the water. Yeah, because when we are throwing the this thing, if I think recently there has been some major concern about Yamuna of this because of the World Culture Festival. You've seen that if we compare, if we go Delhi, and you will find that about that of the total length, about 2% of the total length is passing from the Delhi, but about 70% of the total pollution is caused in this particular region only because of throwing of the because a lot of population is residing in Delhi, and all the waste is being thrown into your river only. So main culprit is the sewage disposal. And then we have no doubt Jamuna action plan, but hardly we have been successful. At the same time, we have other action plans of the rivers, Ganga action plan, and some other rivers are taking place. But then the issue is that okay, we have to provide the safe drinking water access to the to our population. We cannot deny them. Two of the most common drinking water contaminants in the developing world are arsenic and fluorides. Then fluoride causes dental and skeletal fluorosis, and arsenic is again one of the poison that causes your skin problems and the cancer. This is one particular graph. You see that okay, what was in 1950? You will see that the areas which are shown yellow, sorry, this blue. So they are the areas where sufficient water was available. And what has happened in 2001? You will see most of the areas have turned into water scarce, where the water is availability of the water is low. Actually, you see that this is red is lesser than 1%. Then your 1 to 2 is light red is about where the water availability is very less, greater than so blocks which are having the water availability in another about 50 years, they have depleted. They have basically, you can see the change in the picture. Most of the countries, again, this is the polar region only. Near to this is the water is good. Otherwise, most of the our world where the water is not available in a.
Hello.
So you can see that this is another graph which shows that okay, water availability in cubic meters as I think this goes from this thing, and in the this is shown in the year wise, and you can see that it was available by about 5,177 cubic meter, and now it is 1140 in 2050. So availability here is going drastically. About it is maybe about one fourth only, 25% what was available in 1951. And one of the other thing is basically, if you see that in Indian context, we will find that uh, if you see that this rainfall storage capacity, India can only store very small quantity. Storage is sufficient only for 30 days of the rainfall, whereas in US and Australia the storage capacity is very high, and they can store for 900 days of the rainfall, whatever the water is there. So that much difference is there. That means we are only as I think we all understand that, okay, we are having the monsoon type rainfall, and in that we get abundance of our rain during that period only, but whatever the majority of the water is there, that flows down to the our racing, and during the water is no water is available during the other say days of the year. So availability is very less, and you see that this per capita availability has declined 65% in the last years due to development activities, due to lot of urbanization of our cities, population outburst, elevated lifestyles of the people, inadequate water supply arrangements, decrease in rainfall, and excessive withdrawals of the groundwater. So I think these are the major issues which we are facing because of the water problem. And seeing that waters, our surface water resources are getting polluted, and at the same time our groundwater resources are groundwater storage is getting again depleted, and wherever the I can give the example of say Chandigarh only. Chandigarh, in our campus, the water table in 1990 it was 20 meter, and in 2000 it what we observed was it was 80 meters. So that means in 10 years the water table has gone about down by 60 meter. That means 6 meter per year, which is very alarming. You can say that 6 meter per year, if it is going down, it is on the very higher side. And you this is just shows the flow pattern in our major rivers. You find that most of the rivers we get the water in the month of from July to September, and the remaining part the water availability is about you can say this is the capacity in percentage. So this is very less. You can see only this particular period of July to September, or maybe at September end we are getting the sufficient water. Otherwise in most of the places the water availability is very less. You can see that water is already a scarce commodity in many cities. Mumbai, if you talk about 4% of the water, where is this? 4% of population receives less than water is for less than 8 hours. 33% receive water between 4 to 8 hours. 42% receives for just 3 hours per day, and 21% receives for less than 3 hours per day, often only for 1 hour. In Chennai and Kochi also the overall shortage of water is there. There is insufficient pressures and inadequate, inequitable distribution of the available water sources. Where for it, I think the in Cochin also we get a very supply for only 2 hours per day in many of the localities, and outskirts of the Madras only their supply is only for 1 year. This is just an example, but major problem is in most of the cities. So that means about 3% of surface water is fresh water. 1/5 of water population lack access to the clean drinking water. Over 2.6 billion people do not have adequate toilets, sewers, or latrines, and because of the waterborne diseases, we are getting, I think 4 million people are getting affected by this, and it kills 5 million people, including 6,000 children per year. So more than 2 million children are likely to be killed by diarrhea cases only. Earth's oceans are most important carbon sink on the planet along with the rainforest, and demand for the water will double in next 30 years. Floods are very frequently being observed worldwide, and this is the world demand per year. I think in 2020 it has gone up to 9,000 per kilometer per cube. And the most of the sources we are getting is because sewage is a major culprit. Um, and then when we are throwing the water into sewage water into our rivers and into our freshwater body is causing depletion of oxygen, which produces foul water and makes the water oily and brownish. And again, it will make the water unfit for any other purposes. So it also induces the growth of algae blooms. This is what point source and non-point sources. Let us not go into this thing. This is the you can see in what are the leading pollutants either in rivers and streams. So you can rivers, you have siltation, problems of bacteria, nutrients, and the sources in rivers which is causing the pollution is the agriculture sources. Then hydro modification is taken place, then your urban and storm sewers are being thrown into your rivers. Lakes, ponds and reservoirs, the problem is basically pollutants are the nutrients and the metals and siltation. Then you have the again the same type of sources like agriculture, your hydro modification and your urban runoffs are causing the pollution of these. Estuaries, we have the problem of your pathogens, organic and low dissolved oxygens, and basically the sources we are getting is through your municipal point sources, urban runoff and your atmospheric deposition. So the surface runoff, basically the pollutants present on the surface of land and fertilizer are washed down into our water bodies. Okay. So nitrates, they enter the blood combined with the hemoglobin to form the methane globin, and then the that is transported to your through oxygen to various and gives rise to the diseases. Basically, mostly infants are defected. This is just the industrial effluents. They are the causing basically the different type of diseases. One is a common disease caused by the mercury was the Minamata disease in Japan, which killed many people at that time. Then lead pollution is again one of the major problem in our for the human beings, and basically it is because of the industrial waste being thrown into your water bodies, and it is again causing your problem in the heart, bones, intestines, kidneys and our reproductive and nervous system. Cadmium pollution is again coming through your use of your batteries, coatings or plastics. Cigarettes are also a significant source of cadmium exposure. It is basically that cadmium is also being used as a protective coating in iron, copper and other steel industry. So it is again one of the major problem which is again caused the disease this thing, and this is causing the disease to your bones and also to the nervous system also, and kidneys also are getting damaged due to your presence of this. This is what different type of diseases are there. And again we are having the nuclear pollution, which is again one of the major pollution. Let us not go into details. Then pesticides are one of the major problems, because pesticides and fertilizer for agriculture we are using, and then those are causing the water pollution, maybe pollution of your groundwater and also pollution of the surface water. Both are the thing, because water from your agricultural fields, it flows down into your groundwater, and it also flows to your wastewater. And most of the constituents we are getting are the chromium, nickel and arsenic. Again, these are the things which are causing the cancer and other type of diseases into our system. And whatever basically happens, basically this is just showing a picture basically, because what we are eating is, if we are eating the egg from a contaminated from a water body which is having these all nickel, chromium and nickel, so that egg will contain most of the metal pollutants, and when we eat them, so it will again indirectly affecting us. So there was one research basically which was done in Punjab Agriculture University in Ludhiana, but it was found that there is one famous Buddha Nala in which whole discharge of various industries was being thrown into this thing, and that water was being used for cultivating this cabbage. And when the cabbage was analyzed, the chromium and nickel content in that cabbage was found to be 100 times more than the acceptable limits. So indirectly, all the people who are eating that sort of a cabbage and that from that particular field, they were getting exposed to high doses of nickel and chromium. Then fluoride pollution is again one of the major issues with the water, this thing, and it affects your bone system and also your um, uh, teeth and this thing. We have got a separate lecture basically on these particular issues, so we will discussing on it. Then another issues is the air pollution. uh, so sources are basically you are getting from combustion of fuel, natural gases, petroleum, coal, fossil fuels we are talking about. Then we have various industrial processes, and some of the natural processes like volcanic etc. are causing the pollution of the air. These are the sources of the air toxics. You can see that emissions from your stationary sources like your mobile sources like your automobiles, and accidental releases of your otherwise, and forest fires are there. And these are the basically the old sources from which we get the this thing. And not only living but non-living things. We conducted one study on the effect of air pollution on the buildings also. So what we found that not air pollution, basically yes, definitely carbon dioxide, and the areas which were near to the roads, buildings situated very near to the roads, they were affected most of. That was found by our in our study that the carbonation near to the road buildings, they were affected most as compared to the buildings which were located far away. So that means that okay, not our human beings but our buildings are also exposed to our air pollution. So we see that out of these sources, mobile sources are 50%. That means major problem is because of the our transportation systems. Then your other major sources cause 26%, and then area and other sources are causing about 24% of the air pollution. But that means if we are able to control this also 50%, then this is one of the major. So impacts, I think well-known impacts, we have already discussing them: greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, acidification, smoke formation. Then it is having the effect on the human health and the ecosystem health also. And one of the major problem is the particulate matter. So it is a matter, and basically it is a combination of dust and smoke which causes irritation of the respiratory tract and produce bronchitis and asthma and lung diseases in the human beings. Dust and smoke function as a nuclei for condensation of water vapors and produce smoke which attract chemicals like SO2, H2S, NO2, etc. And smoke not only reduces visibility but is also harmful due to its contained chemicals. Smoke is a combination of smoke and fog. It is a man-made air pollutant in urban areas, and you can see that this is a photochemical smoke. You can see this is the industrial smoke. Because of your various pollution from the industries, you are getting this sort of a, I think in winters we are getting this smoke in most of the northern parts of the country. And one of the famous smoke is the Los Angeles smoke, which was photochemically produced. It is associated with the motor vehicle emission, and city was covered with a brown cloud during your particular this thing. And then the cause was found to be that okay, it was the photochemistry of volatile organic compounds and oxygenated nitrogen species which were coming from the exhaust of the vehicles. This photochemical smoke is the air saturated with ozone, VOC and ozonal particles. And then you have the industrial smoke. Because of the industry, you are getting the smoke in the form of dust, smoke soot, ashes, asbestos, oil, lead, heavy metals and sulfur dioxide, etc. So London smoke is one of the famous activity which basically famous thing which basically caused about 4,000 deaths in that year in 1952. And you can say it was a result of the smoke soot, which was a combination of the soot particles, sulfur dioxide, tar, and then it was highly acidic in nature and caused lot of deaths in the Europe, particularly in 1930, in Belgium 1948, then 1952 and 1962. Lot of people got killed because of this smoke only. This is a very dangerous thing. And then dust. You can getting the inorganic dust. Basically it is a coal dust, silica, asbesto, iron, which again causes different type of diseases in our human this thing. Then you have the organic dust, basically coming from the cane fiber, cotton dust, tobacco and grain dust. So it is again causing the different our affecting our respiratory system and lungs and your other and causing cancer etc into human beings. So this is one showing that okay, this is just show the black lung, and this is again the lung affected body affected by your smog only. Again silica. This is again the just I am showing these effects on our human body system. You can see that lung diseases again is caused by your this air pollution only. Then you have the carbon monoxide is another system. So carbon monoxide is mainly coming from your emission of the combustion of the carbon fuels in the in your industries. So it causes impairment of judgment and vision. And then you have the sulfur dioxide. Again, it is again the industrial activity. And again, it is again from the smelting of the metallic ions. It is being produced, and it is again causes irritation, cough, and bronchial spasm in our system. Chlorine gas is again one of the system which is again causing that and depleting the ozone layer. So these are just a picture which shows that if we are not able to control our air pollution, so one way it will happen, we will have a carry a plant in our back and connect it to our system, and then only we will be able to get the fresh air. So okay. Then we are having the solid waste. Solid waste pollution, you can say that various types of solids we are getting: the household waste, industrial waste, biochemical and hospital waste. And reason is again due to the population increase, increased plastic usages, and changes in our lifestyle. Then we are landfilling our solid waste, but those are not well equipped to protect us against the contamination. This is just and again a thing is which is showing that okay, from what industry what we are getting is, so manufacturing industry we are getting about 33% this thing. From metal mining we are getting about 48% of the waste, and from other this thing electrical utilities etc we are getting about 15% of this thing, and then all combined to our this thing other activities is contributing about 4% of this thing. So here again you can see that the metal and the manufacturing processes are one of the major problems for the solid waste wasting. So again that is what that industrial waste is through the this thing is one of the major problems, and we have to see that how to control this thing. The solid waste are generally we will have hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste. So wherever the non-hazardous we will say it is about 0.7%, but other thing is yes, out of those this thing we are getting mostly from the manufacturing processes, some from the agricultural processes, some from oils, and some from mining activity are the things we are getting from our this. Then we have the municipal solid waste, which includes your durable products, non-durable goods, containers, packaging, food scraps, yard trimmings, miscellaneous inorganic waste from residential, commercial, institutional, industrial sources. Example of waste from these categories include appliances, automobile tires, newspapers, clothing, boxing, etc. And you will find that in urban India produces about 1,20,000 tons of municipal solid waste per day. Per capita generation is 0.8 to 1 kg per day, and of the this only very small percentage is collected. Remaining 94% is dumped on the land and 5% is composed. We have 23 metro cities which generate about 30,000 tons of solid waste per day. Class 1 cities generate about 59,000 tons of the solid waste per day, and if you say the state of Karnataka is about 4,000 per day and disposes about 3,000 per day, and remaining is uncollected waste. The sources is the municipal waste, agricultural waste, industrial waste, biomedical waste. E-waste is again coming one of the major activity problem areas nowadays. Then radioactive waste. So once we say that okay, how to use our, how to have the ensure our sustainability. So the 3 R's we have to control. That means we have to take care how to reduce the waste generation, how to reuse the waste generated, how to recycle the waste generated. Because about waste, you will find that there is a one good saying is that okay, this may be a waste for somebody, but that may be a resource for other person. So we have to see that particular thing in that fashion. Here I can quote one good example. I think there was a one uh, uh, restaurant basically who was having manufacturing the ice cream, and they were given the notice by the pollution control board, okay, that whatever the waste you are throwing for the ice manufacturing is causing the contamination of your water resources. It was in Delhi, and they were given the notice to close down that activity as early as possible, and they were not knowing what to do. So what it was suggested to them, why you do one thing, okay, you wash that particular thing with a good drinking water, storage it, add some sort of a nice thing into this thing, and make it a small sort of a convert it into drinking water. So what they did is that okay, they started serving that water free of cost to the persons who are coming to their restaurant, and everybody liked that sort of a drink. And after few years, they started uh, charging the some put some charges also, starting charging some money also from those people who they were serving. So they put uh, as a drink on their menu also. So that was basically one example. Basically, nothing they did nothing, did not do because at one time it was a waste, but by having some thoughtful say intervention, that waste was converted into a useful thing. So basically, our what we are looking into our this particular water in the environment management is that okay, whatever waste is there, either we reduce that waste absolutely, we don't generate waste at all. That means and in case it is we use those sort of technologies where no waste is generated, if at all the waste is being generated, we have to find a way out how to utilize, reutilize, recycle that, how to reuse that waste in any of a useful activity. And then if we are not if are not able to reuse them in other thing, how to recycle that particular waste in a this thing in the same sort of a system. Maybe one example is that okay, you have the you are treating your wastewater from your campus or from your locality. That wastewater, why can't it be used for irrigation purposes? After all, we require our water waste drinking water for our drinking purposes only. Of that that has to be good quality. Other water what we are using for our say lawning of gardeners, or maybe in our for utilizing it for our flushing system also, that is not required of a high quality water or high water of a potable water. So basically, why we are using the potable water for these activities? Why can't we have a recycle water, recycle this thing? And another, I think recently I have come across a sort of a it was a uh, I think one campus, I will not name them which was the campus, because there some military organization, they are having one their campus consisting of, they were having two campuses basically, south and west campus, and that was a campus was of very huge campus, and they were generating about uh, I think 10 mgd mega gillion liters of wastewater per day. And there was no, after treating that water, there was no way to throw that water from where that water is to be thrown, this much the quantity of water, because there were no nearby source where that can be taken. So it was a huge problem how to utilize that water. So basically that okay, that seeing the, they were having large open areas, so the means were suggested to them that okay, you utilize your water for your irrigation purposes, for your irrigating the lawns, for your golf ground. They were having a big golf ground. Then remaining water what was there, so basically water balance was carried out for their whole campus. And then okay, it was found that okay, the whole water could be utilized for their uh, uh, other activities. So basically they were made the self-sustained in your water usage. So that is the type of a thing we are looking through these 3 R's. Okay. So then another pollution is the form of a noise pollution. Noise is again, noise is one of the, say, pollution only, because sound when we produce is, if it is again affecting our hearing system and our human activities as well. So basically it is a form of atmospheric pollution, and the noises we are getting in the, from the transport areas, from your industrial noises, from the domestic noises, are again one of the major sources of the pollution. And we have to see that, okay, the noise is again effective, causing the damage to our hearing system. It is again having some physiological and psychological disorders causing in the human beings. And any noise which is having the value 19 dBA, and exposed, and human is exposed to about 8 hours per day to that level, it is definitely he will get deaf after some time. So basically we have to see that, okay, what is, how much quantity is being generated. We have got the standards, okay, what are the standards in particular area, so we have to follow those standards in order to avoid the effect of the noise pollution on us also. So that means because of our whole these activities, or type of a pollutants, the climate is changing. There is a, we are experiencing the change in the climate, and what has been observed is that this is faster and more extreme than we feared it. What we expected, that, okay, we were accepting that, but what we have predicted, it is happening at much faster and much faster rate, and it is causing, it is very serious problem now. And that is why we have been seeing so many summits. I think recently we had a Paris summit on climate change also, and there is a concern of about developed and developing countries also. Developed countries are not they are not ready to reduce their emissions. At the same time, they want the developing countries to reduce their emissions. So there is a major balance has to be sorted out, and that is what basically we have to see that. And this is what is happening, that, okay, because of the global warming and greenhouse gases effect, you see that our glaciers are melting. And this is just shown a polar bear which is have only very small quantity of this glacier left, where he can just not able to basically stand in a fruitful way. And he has basically, that is what is happening basically. That is, you can see that it is just a picture which is depicts that it can happen. And the carbon dioxide is one of the most common gas which is causing the global warming. And because of the global warming, what we are experiencing is the increase in temperature and change in the climate. And you see that this is one picture which depicts that how does the greenhouse gases affect. You have the solar radiation which passes through the clear atmosphere. Then these are the most of the radiation are absorbed by the earth surface and warms it. Actually, recently I have been reading an article in one this thing, and what I found is that, yes, prevention is the one thing which we need to take, but we, at the same time, we may have to go for some sort of a technologies which absorb these greenhouse gases. Like either why we can't have some sort of a reflectors here which basically reflect back the energy from here also. So that is what, so some sort of technologies we have to think of this thing. How to then the places where to store the captured carbon dioxide. Whatever the carbon dioxide is there, why don't do we put them underground or maybe in the ocean or at some other places? So we need to devise some carbon capture devices also. So what happens that about in a normal case, about 70% of the sun energy is radiated back into the space, but some of the infrared radiation is trapped by greenhouse gases which warm the atmosphere and reflect heat back to the earth. So as a result of greenhouse gases, effect of the earth is kept basically earth is kept warm enough to make life possible, but due to increase in these gases, the average increase temperature increased from 0.4 to 8 degrees. Temperature has already increased. So the sources of greenhouse gases we are getting is, you can see that our agricultural activities, our this farmhouses, then your electricity productions and all that, and then we are having this refrigerator system, we are using this hydrofluoro and the chlorofluoro gases. Then from agricultural activities we are throwing lots of waste then to waste generated through the our livestock waste also. So these are the basically things which are contributing to the various type of gases. You can see that this transportation and these form of gases altogether they contribute about 60% of the carbon dioxide, and this electricity again produces about one particular this sulfide fluorides which is about less than 1%, but again the its contribution to greenhouse gases is very high. Similarly, this hydrofluoro and other type of gases contribute 5%, livestock and other activities about 20%. So this is what that means that the sources of carbon dioxide are fossil fuels, erosion, and yes, deforestation. Methane we are getting due to this rice cultivation, cattle breeding, and landfills. Nitrogen oxide are getting from your fossil fuels and fertilizers. This various type of fluorocarbons, etc. we are getting from cooling mediums, and SF6 is basically where we are getting this medium high voltage installation and burning of tires, etc. This is a very if you see the contribution, because 1 unit of carbon dioxide is means basically 1 unit of green gas. This chlorine has about 4 units, nitrogen has like a very high, again about 20 units. This is again a high contribution equivalent to carbon dioxide, and this is about 250 units of one carbon dioxide. 1 unit of this is equivalent to 250 units of carbon dioxide produced. So that means that contribution of each and this is on very high. This is the average temperature. I think already we have discussed how it is going high from year 1860 to 2000. So there is about 0.28% increase in this thing, and that is what is happening because of this thing. Your impact is basically, you can see that your glaciers, they are melting, and your that area under snow is has been reduced over the years. And this is one picture basically which compares that what was there about 3 years back and what is the condition of glacier in the present days conditions. So this is because of the melting of this is one particular, this is a completely covered by your glacier, and after in recently taken pictures through this GIS this satellites, it shows that it has reduced to that extent. Snow covered area has been reduced. So some of the shorelines in many places like Florida, they will go underwater if this keeps on happening. This is one picture in 1940. Okay. 1982, 1996 and 2005. Same picture, you can say it was the glacier was 0.22 kilometer square, in 1982 0.14 square, in 1996 0.08 square, and in 2005 about 0.01 kilometer square only. This is again the picture which shows the Arctic in 2007 and 2009. You can see in 79, this is the thing, if you cover this thing, and in 2009 it has shrunk. Similarly, you can see that the one picture taken in 1911 and one picture of the same place in 2000. What is the difference? You can see. Similarly, in 1859, and this is the area now. It has been not covered with rice. It has a roads also, and it has a buildings also. Earlier in 1859, it was completely under snow. So that is the changing basically data. This is the most dramatic glacier withdrawal in Alpes, where it has been occurred in full view of resident tourists and scientists. This is a one particular very good picture which shows that okay, what was in 1859 and what is in 2001. And you see in most of our countries, in most of our parts, I mean, hilly areas, in our Indian cities also, or locations also, you will find that the area under snow is basically diminishing year by year. Yeah, earlier it was a snow, now it is a you can say lake, water body, same area. You will not find any difference. And this is in Austria. You will find that this is again that glacier has been converted into a lake because of the rise in temperature in 2004. So basically we have to see that what is acceptable and what is how much is available and what we want to do. So basically we see that today the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is about 280 ppm, and it increases every year by 3 ppm. So the 550 ppm scenario is associated with an estimated increase in the worldwide average temperature of about 2.5 to 3.0. So 380 already. Okay, every year 3. So you can calculate basically in 100 in another 50 years it is 150. It is reaching 550 level in another 30 years, like that. So that means that okay, our temperature, if temperature increases by 2.5 to 3 degree, we have already seen that our life on the earth will become impossible. So we have to stabilize the carbon dioxide concentration at 550 ppm. The actual emission of about 50 million tons of carbon dioxide per year must be limited to 30 billion tons in by 2050, and thereafter gradually decrease to a maximum level of 10 billion tons per year, which is the base level which we have taken as 1990 as a year of the base. What so our basically that various international protocols and Kyoto Protocol or maybe Paris this thing, they say that okay, we have to bring back the carbon dioxide level as it was in 1990. So we have to see that, and then in a different this thing we have to individually or maybe as a this thing we have to contribute to that thing. So industrialized world has to accept the economic growth of the developing countries. That is the one this thing, because whatever the developed countries are there, they have to see that our because the problems we are seeing of this terrorism or say this thing, this is again because of the underdevelopment or due to poverty. So if we are not able to, so we are seeing that okay, these effect of these activities are being shown in the developed countries also. So we need to, they have to understand that okay, we can't stop the people to make the development. So at the same time, so we have to reduce our this means that industrialized countries also must reduce their carbon dioxide emission by 60 to 80% by 2050. If they are unable to do that, they will be affected also. So this is what is happening: increase in sea level, change in precipitation and other local climate conditions, changing regional climate could alter forest, crop yields and water supplies. Deserts and makes one into your existing this thing. Features of some of the national parks may be permanently altered, and this is what is happening, that okay, people that island may get submerged. That is what the good news. It at the current rate of global warming, we should be able to just swim over there and eat him in the under 5 years. That is what they are also expecting. So what concerns protocol, Kyoto Protocol, which was signed by India, and this was decided about that average global emission will be cut by 38% by the developed countries, and they will cut to there will be cut to the carbon dioxide emission, methane, nitrogen oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, sulfur dioxide by 2082. But this has not been achieved. So that is why we had recently this thing. The mechanism sought was either through CDM or through direct transmission. Through that means that okay, they have to reduce countries in the transition by at least 5% below 1990 level has to be brought out, and basically the contribution that European Union was 8%, target was USA 7%, and Japan was 6%. Not a single country has been able to reduce this thing. Whatever we have set the goals, but nothing has happened basically. That is what the situation is today. So basically we need to combat the climate change because of our various activities, and we have to see that okay, these activities are there is a constant interaction between climate and the human activities. Whatever activities we are doing, harvest, usages, development activities, so it is causing some stresses, and those stresses on the climate are being seen in the form of a global change, extreme weather condition, seasonal changes. So what we see that there are the environmental stresses, there are the biological stresses, there are the anthropogenic stresses. So you have, that means we have some activities, through these activities are causing some stresses, and these stresses are being seen in terms of the effect on the human beings, our activities. So that is here, it is listed here. Okay, what are the this thing? So environmental stresses are there, biological stresses are there, and anthropogenic stresses are there. In the environmental stresses, we see light, salinity, temperature, physical changes, sedimentation, sea level changes, changes in the circulation patterns, and changes in the atmosphere. In your biological stresses, we see the space competition is there, and prediction, bioerosion is there, diseases are being seen. And anthropogenic, we are seeing that is stability, salinity, solid waste, and harvesting, etc. patterns are being system. So we have to see that these are the drivers. They're the forces with large scale influences on ecosystem, stressors, physical or chemical changes caused by drivers within the ecosystem, and ecological effects are physical, chemical, and biological responses caused by the stressors. And the attributes are in terms of your overall condition on the ecosystem. So we have to develop a model which basically take care of your these large scale drivers which affect the ecosystem and which also contain the attributes. So internal drivers and external drivers, you have to see both. So this is a, you can see that if we see that if these are the drivers and we have to say that okay, that means whatever the basically impacts are there, or based on those impacts we have to take care that okay, we redefine our system such a way that these drivers are not able to produce the stresses. That means we have to see that okay, whatever drivers are there, we take those actions in our this thing, that these are not able to cause the stresses on our system. Various type of stresses we have to control. So that is what that global warming is. We already said that global warming is taken place at a high, at a much faster rate. We have seen global gas emission, ice melting, sea level, and half of the Bangladesh rice fields have been affected, and most of the Mekong Delta has been affected. So basically, we have to see that there are increasing saturation of carbon sinks in our lands and oceans. Most of the areas are affected by carbon dioxide, and again, this is how we already discussed with these things, that okay, these are the various effects on our on the society of the, on the health of these due to climate change. And what we can do, we have to see. So we have to ensure the sustainable development by having a healthy environment, which means that okay, we are controlling having a sustainable development, we are having a plan for a solid waste management, we are having a plan for wood conservation strategy, we may have to formulate some environmental laws, we have to go for the water conservation or water this thing through rainwater harvesting, and we have to control biodiversity conservation, we have to control our water resources, pollution and energy conservation are the major issues which are with which we are concerned for the sustainable development. And when we say what is sustainable, if we say that sustainable development, basically this is the development that meets the needs and aspiration of the current generation without compromising the ability to meet those of the future generations. Yes, we have the what we say is okay, about we have another 30 to 40 years which in which we are fossil fuels are available. After another 40 years, all these fuels will vanish from the from the earth. So basically we need to use them judicially, so that what fruits we are enjoying, our generations, next generation should be able to enjoy those things also. That is the means that okay, we need to ensure the sustainable development. So what do you mean by sustainability? So sustainability generally is considered to be that which is viable, has an equitable impact on the society, and an acceptable impact on the environment also. So basically it is imperative to consider the three components both individually and collectively to achieve an acceptable balance. We have to see that it has to be viable, it has to be an equitable impact on the society, and at the same time there should be an acceptable impact on the environment also. So sustainability can be considered at a variety of scales, from project to nation or continent. Single project, maybe you are maybe at the national level, maybe you have the continent also. So because that is what we are saying, that okay, what the developed countries had done about 50 years back, we are seeing those effect of those things, their development activities in the form of greenhouse gases, and we are also affected. Something is happening in USA, we are getting affected here also. So that means that okay, it is not at a local level, it is not as, it is as a whole regional level also. So sustainability we have to ensure it has to be at the continental level only. And okay, so that means we have to make a balance between our impact and the economic success also, because whenever we are talking about say development activities, our those development activities, so we have to see that they have to be viable from environment point of view, viable from economic point of view. So economic, there has to be balance between economic activity and the and its impact on the environment. Until unless we achieve that impact, we won't be able to have a sustainable development. Yeah. So at the same time, this social impacts is also there. So whatever this is the breathable. equitable zone, you can say. So zone combined by these three systems: social impact, environmental impact, and environmental. This is a very small sort of a thing. So we have to, whatever the activities we're doing, so they have to be with, this is the your sustainable development zone, so they have to be within this zone. Only then we say that okay, this is a sustainable activity. Otherwise, whatever the activities we are doing, we may define them as a unsustainable activities from our point of view. Okay? So that is what the various environmental issues which are of a concern are: the basically that the atmospheric gases, the climate change. We have to see that water is available. We have to see the natural hazards are controlled. We have to see the response to what is causing these responsible for depletion of the natural resources, how the our surface condition and landscape condition are changing. We have to take care of soils, microclimate and slopes, etc. So that is what we have to see that okay, and so we have here we say that okay, this is sort of a balance. We have to maintain environmentally responsible activity is to be done through your commercial responsibility activity, through your activity that contributes to the safety and public safety, etc. So we have to recognize and put the recognition. We have to see what is the reliable and data is available, what is the your through achieve basically either through carrying out this analyzing the data through education and training and through research only. So these are the activities we have to see that achieve this sustainable activity. So that means that every pillar of the society is to contribute for the sustainable development. Yeah. So we have a, if I have to see the goals and this thing. So goals are eradicate the extreme poverty and hunger. So we have to see that how to our environment concern should be looking to how to improve the have a food security, and depending upon our this thing, then achieve the universal primary education. So we have to spend the collecting fuel and water by children, because they are this thing that reduce child mortality. Again, waterborne diseases are to be reduced. Improve the maternal health, your indoor air quality, and your heavy loads, heavy metals, etc. to be controlled. Then we have to combat the major diseases. Again, they are associated with the environmental various agencies, so we have to reduce them. Then ensure the sustainability, so degradation must be reversed. So from the sustainability point of view, so whatever the action we are taking, we have to think that here I am myself at the bottom, family, community, nation, and as a planet. So that means first at the time I am thinking for myself, next I will be thinking about my family, and then you are this thing. So that means we have to achieve at this place with the time. So time is available is very less, and to take care of the planet, and we have to see that okay, the impacts are produced. That means impacts in terms of your biodiversity impacts, in terms of your social impacts, in terms of your economic impacts, and there has to be total integration of these impacts by our various activities for the sustainability. So sustainability means that, as I said initially in that picture, it has to be environmental sustainability, it has to be social sustainability, it has to be economic sustainability through various systems. We have to integrate all those systems to achieve this total sustainability into our this thing. So basically we have to think that okay, environmental, social and economic impacts issues, and where the good governance issues and all those things are to be related. So we have to basically different strategies. We have to carry out the collect the data, analyze the data. We have to design the strategies. We have to carry out the various actions as per this point, then implement those actions. Only then we will achieve this three type of environmental, social and economic sustainability. So again, this is related to your this thing that we have to rest up those policies to be achieved towards your economic and this development. So basically that is what we have to see, that everybody is happy at the end of the year. So this was just an introductory session which just introduced to you the various issues related to the environment. And as the time we go along with our program, the next session is on at 2:30 by Dr. C.B. Jain on the water sustainability. So thank you very much.